Hi everyone, it's Shea. Welcome to or back to my channel. Today I have a slightly different video than what I normally do. This won't be language learning related. This video will be all about books that I've read recently that I have really enjoyed and that I wanted to recommend to all of you. These will all be fiction books. All these will be mostly thrillers because I found that I really love thrillers. And then some like romance books and then just some like action-y like mystery kind of stuff. I personally need a book to move really fast and have like a lot of action, a lot of drama because I get bored really easily. So these books are really great if you want to get back into reading and you need something really fast paced. Even though this isn't like a language video, you know, for those of you who watch my channel to learn English, if you need book recommendations, hopefully you can enjoy these. I mean, I wouldn't say these are like beginner English, but you know, if you're further along and more advanced and you're looking for some fun books, hopefully these will be some good suggestions. So I have more than this, I have a whole other pile. I have so many books to recommend that I've read like this year or like this past year. Let's just get to it. This book, With Malice, is by Eileen Cook, and I originally was drawn to it because it is about this girl who goes abroad to Italy. So I was like, ooh, Italy. I wanted to read a book that was set in Italy. It's a mystery because it starts off with the girl waking up in a hospital, and she got in a bad accident, and it was so bad that she doesn't remember anything. Like she doesn't even remember her trip to Italy. She doesn't remember it at all. She's trying to piece back together everything that's happened. There's a lot of really crazy plot twists. I like the way that it was written. I feel like it was definitely a pretty quick read. You get through it pretty quickly because you're like dying to know what happened. I would probably give it a 7 or 8 out of 10 because there's some other ones in here that were a lot more like wow, amazing. But this one was pretty good, very interesting, a really crazy plot twist at the end. This is definitely a good one. Not too long either, but pretty easy to get through. This one, I just read this one in 2 days. So good. It's called No Exit by Taylor Adams. This one was so good. Like I said, literally finished it in 2 days. It is about a girl who is driving through Utah, I think, to get to her family for Christmas. She gets stuck at a rest stop in the middle of nowhere. There's 4 other people at that rest stop, and they're all snowed in. You know, the roads are all closed because there's like a crazy snowstorm, so they're all stuck at this rest stop. She is trying to find cell service, and she goes out to the parking lot and realizes that there is a girl in the back of someone's van in a dog crate. She's been kidnapped. That's not a spoiler. That's literally on the back of this book. But so basically, she's trying to figure out who of these 4 people are the kidnappers and how to save this girl. And so it takes place all over the course of one night of her being at this rest stop. So fast paced. Every time you think that the ending is coming, something else happens. If you're looking for something that you will never be bored for a single second, this book is so good. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. And this next series, it's actually a trilogy. I think my sister probably has the other book. This is the first one, Delirium, I think, if I can remember correctly. I read it a while ago. It is like a dystopian kind of thing. It kind of reminds me of Hunger Games, but also like Divergent, stuff like that. Basically, they believe that love is like a disease, which sounds weird, but falling in love, being in love, is a disease. And once teens turn a certain age, they get a procedure done, which helps them not fall in love. And basically everyone in the society goes about their lives just doing their job, fitting into the place that they are born into, not falling in love, trying to be like a productive, great society without love. And if you fall in love, you have like the disease, and they put you in jail or whatever, kill you. I can't really remember. Something along those lines where if you get caught is bad. So obviously it follows the main girl who, as we can guess, goes against that, ends up falling in love. It's very good. It's very, very interesting, and it explores, you know, this really controlling society. Flew through these books, finished this one, ordered the next. I can't remember if this one's the next one. I think the other one is Pandemonium. I think that might be the next one. Flew through all these books. I definitely liked the first one the best. The second one starts off and you're like, whoa, it starts off super different and you're wanting to know what happens at the first. It takes a little bit to get into. Super fast paced. They look really big, but like I said, you really fly through them. So I highly recommend if you kind of like fantasy, like dystopian type stuff, but also a lot of action, people banding together and like escaping and going through these tough situations. But yeah, definitely very like Hunger Games, Divergent type thing. So if you like that, highly recommend these. I would say 8 out of 10. All right, next book. So This one, Final Girls by Riley Sager. I think it's how you say his name. This was the first book that I read that got me into that, and I was like, whoa, these books are fun. Final Girls is like the term you use of the final people who survive a crazy traumatic murder or something like that. This follows the story of a girl who is the last survivor of a crazy cabin murder, which that isn't a spoiler, it's literally on the back of this book. So she becomes part of this group of survivors known as the Final Girls, but they don't really know each other. They know of each other, like they know the Final Girls exist, but like she lives her own life, the other girls live their own lives. Then what happens, like it says on the back of this book, again, I'm not spoiling anything, one of the Final Girls ends up dead and no one can figure out why or what's happening, and then she worries, oh my god, like someone's coming for me. Again, super fast paced, super great, and crazy plot twist at the end. Like the plot twist was insane. So I found out that since I really loved this author, I ended up, 10 out of 10. I really love this author. I ended up getting another book by Riley Sager called Lock Every Door. This one, I would say I liked Final Girls better, but I would say this is still 9 out of 10. Super cool. It is about a girl who is in need of money and a job, and she ends up getting this job of being a caretaker kind of thing for the apartment. So basically she was told like, oh, the person in this apartment passed away, and it's this super exclusive, fancy apartment complex in New York, I think. They have a ton of rules for these apartment sitters. They get paid a lot, like thousands of dollars in cash. It seems really shady. They have a lot of rules, like no visitors, you always have to stay the night at this place. Something's off, and so she's trying to figure it out. Again, another crazy plot twist, very like, trying to put the pieces together of this mystery of this place. So I'd say it's kind of like creepy, scary, nothing like, supernatural, but mystery, thriller, suspense, really well written. Again, like another really fast paced book. I really like this author, Riley Sager. So, I'd highly recommend if you like books like that. Also looking just him up as well to see if there's other books that you like. This one, 10 out of 10. I know I'm giving all these 10 out of 10s, but like, very good. My sister, I told her to read this, so she's reading this one right now and she really likes it. It's called Before She Knew Him by Peter Swanson. It's like a very good beach read. I read this on the beach a lot. Super fun, exciting. Basically, this follows the story of this woman, and she thinks and realizes that her neighbor next door is a murderer. Again, I'm not spoiling anything, like that's literally in the synopsis of this book. She basically realizes like these little things about him and these connections to this murder that she had heard of, that she's like, I'm pretty sure like my neighbor's a murderer. So she tries to figure stuff out herself. She also has bipolar, and so she's had like these episodes where, people just don't believe her. So she just has to take matters into her own hands. Super good, really well written. I really like the character herself. The characters are really well developed, and also there are some chapters where you get the perspective of the murderer, like the neighbor guy next door. He has some chapters which is like really interesting as well. Major plot twist that had me like mouth open, like shocked when I read this. Like I did not see it coming. 11 out of 10, so good. So if you want to choose just like one book from this video, this is the one. It's so good. Flew through it. So these last two books are not thrillers. So if you're like, okay, Shea, I don't read thrillers or mystery or suspense, I have two recommendations for you. This one I just finished, The Honeymooners. It was good. I would say like 6 out of 10. It took me a while to get through because some parts were kind of slow, but if you're looking for a fun book, has a lot of cute like rom-com aspects, cheesy, sappy, like this is fun. I think I started reading it before I was in a relationship, and I was like, I want to think about how cute it'd be to be in a relationship and like fall in love again. And then I finished it after I've been in a relationship, and I'm like, I don't need this anymore. I have great relationships. So it's about these twins. The one sister, Olive, and the other sister is Amy. Amy was gonna have a wedding. At her wedding, everyone gets food poisoning except for her sister Olive and then her groom's brother Ethan. Olive and Ethan hate each other. So it's like one of those stories of like haters to lovers kind of thing. Amy and her husband Dane, I think his name is, don't get to go on their honeymoon. So she's like, okay, well, I don't want it to be wasted just because we're all sick with this food poisoning. So you and Ethan should take it. And so they're like, okay. So they go on this honeymoon together. hate each other, you know, the typical just back and forth of them just being like snippy with one another. But, you know, then after time, like I think they go to Hawaii or something. Yeah, Maui. You know, of course, things start to happen and it's like all cute and sweet and like, predictable, but also cute if you're looking for that kind of thing. So I would say it's good, just like something fun and light. But for me, I'm like, I love the thriller stuff. I love the drama and the action. So this took me a while to get through. Finally, this book, 10 out of 10. I know it was viral on TikTok. I kept seeing people talk about it and I was like, what is this book? It made me cry so much at the end. It was very beautifully written. I don't know what it's about. It follows the story of, you know, the Greek hero Achilles, which another reason I was drawn to this is because I love Greek mythology. And so like a lot of the different characters and names, I'm like, oh, I remember that from learning about these myths and stuff like that. It follows Achilles and then Patroclus, who was a prince, but he was exiled by his father because of this thing that happened, which you'll read about in the book. Achilles and Patroclus become inseparable. There's also just a lot more to their relationship that I will let you find out by reading this, but it was just a very beautiful story about love and loyalty, very deep, a deep relationship and sacrifice and all this crazy stuff. Like I'm thinking about it now at the end, it's like making me emotional. It was so nicely written and just one of those books that was written so well that you feel like you're there, you know, that talks about atmosphere and everywhere they travel and they go together and it feels like you're really there. Very beautifully done story. If you're looking for something that reads very nicely, almost like one giant poem, and just also explores these interesting topics of sacrifice and like a really emotional ending. This is definitely a great book. Highly recommend it. I think it's one that I'm gonna hold on to and probably reread. It was just really good. It was very well written. So those are all the books that I have for you. I get my books from thriftbooks.com. It's really great because they have books that are way cheaper. This isn't sponsored or anything. This is just like my tip to you to get cheaper books because books can be stupidly expensive. And as you can see, they are used. That's fine. I really don't mind. As long as they're in like good condition and, you know, maybe they're a little bit like the pages are bent or whatever, that's totally fine to me. I mean, as long as they're not written in or whatever. That I'm currently reading, I just have the cover because I take the cover off of hardcover books. Midnight Library. So far, I'm about almost halfway through and I'm really enjoying it. It's very interesting, kind of exploring life's regrets and what if your life went differently, what if it went this way, and just kind of seeing how all of those little decisions play out. So one of those books that explores topics that I think about a lot, you know, about like, oh, what if I had made this decision and where would it have led me? So also a very interesting book. I've been reading a lot lately and I've really enjoyed it. So if you want to see more videos in the future, or if you have books to recommend, or you're excited to read the books that I recommended in this video, let me know in the comments below and I will see you all very soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.